with Toucher and Hardy. Andrew Callahan is the Patriots reporter columnist for the Boston Herald. He covers other sports too, and he's down in Indianapolis for the Combine, which is it's just Sodom and Gomorrah for football writers, basically. It's just an opportunity to go out and do a bunch of drugs. And Andrew, though, did get up or stay up in order to do our show this morning, which I appreciate. Andrew, hello.
Good morning, boys.
How late a night was it for you last night?
2:45, 3. So it was about on par.
There you go.
Oh, really? And how hard was it for you to get up?
It wasn't great, but we're here. I love you guys, and that's no lip service. So I'm ready to rock and roll.
He's still drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not
stop.
Bert Breer drunk.
No.
No.
Bert set the standard by which others are measured.
Yeah, years ago, Bert came on, and it was just, I think he had to bail at a certain point because it was too hard. But, Andrew, this will be quick. We won't keep you on for too long. When you're out last night, and I know that in all seriousness that you're going out because this is how you guys, meet the people in charge and how you can have off-the-record conversations with people, and I know you guys don't necessarily report what's said to you in those situations, but they do create a prism of which you can then decipher information that you get throughout the football season. Last night, was everyone from the NFL out and about? Were there people of importance that were out at the same places as you?
Yeah, and I'll say this. It's not even as exclusive as being out late. Like, you can turn a corner in a major hotel and see Steve Spagnuolo sitting on a bench. I checked in at the same time as Sean Payton 2 days ago into my hotel. Roger Goodell has walked by me aimlessly, alone, maybe 5-6 times. So this combine is and this is no joke, no exaggeration. I'm actually a little bit worried about Roger because he doesn't even have a security detail. But the point is, at this time of year in the city, the way it's constructed, and everyone knows to go to the same 3-4 spots, generally speaking, like you run into anybody, and that goes from 6 a.m. all the way until 2 a.m.
I'll tell you this about Roger. He's a real clown.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, for sure.
That's not even
one
one of those jokes. I was just being sarcastic. I was making fun of all the Patriot fans that wore the dumb cloud nose shirt.
Yeah, that was a Matt Patricia shot there.
Yeah, remember when Matt Patricia came off the plane with that clown nose on, the Roger Goodell clown nose thing? That worked out well for him.
It was the peak of his career, as I remember it. Yeah.
And at the time, I said, "Who is this idiot? What an idiot! Getting on, you stupid fool!" And I contend he is stupid.
Detroit hired him a week later.
Yeah, and he alienated the team and the media within a day. All right, so Andrew, okay, I'm fascinated by this draft. I really am, because this is a rare draft where the top of it could go haywire. Like and just as I had been thinking, and I don't know anything, I'm just reading what people say. Now there's talk about bad news for the Patriots. There's talk about teams not liking these quarterbacks, maybe even more than we knew. Have you heard anything about that?
No, I haven't, but I spoke with an ex-GM who still works in the league and works for another team yesterday, and he's saying, look, I think we'll get to mid-April, and there'll still be a lot of uncertainty around this. And so, look, I do think teams at this point, if you're in on Cam Ward, if you're in on Shedeur Sanders, you should probably know. But I'm not sure that they do. And we've seen guys plenty of times, year after year after year, get drafted in the top 10 or 12 that don't deserve it. So, if you're the Patriots, obviously you're concerned of whether that's top 3 or not. But there are teams at the top that need one, and they're trying to figure out, like, do we want to, run out with Travis Hunter and play him at one position or two? Because even the top 2 teams in the draft, on the record yesterday, the Titans said, we primarily see him as a corner. And the Browns going, well, we really see him as a receiver. Like, when I say uncertainty at the top is almost more than ever, it's true.
Okay, but with the quarterbacks, this is a weird year, right? It seems like the Rams think they can get Rodgers. Rodgers apparently said he wants to go to the Rams. Mm-hmm. So if the Rams let Rodgers come, good luck. And then Stafford gets sent to – Stafford's 36 and had a damn good year last year.
Yeah.
He plays through injury, unlike Rodgers plays through it, but at least Stafford
there are
can succeed.
A lot of teams that want him. You're reading that Tom Brady made a phone call last night.
Right.
Yeah.
So say Stafford goes to a team, then that frees up Darnold, and that frees up, there's a a team who needs a quarterback this year is not beholden to taking one in the draft. Like there are decent. I mean, you're talking about Stafford, a guy who still was a play away from the NFC Championship game being available, and that frees up any idiot that still believes in Aaron Rodgers, and that moves Sam Darnold, who proved to be certainly a good enough quarterback last year until the end. To that frees him up, and then there's a whole domino effect of things that can happen, and that's what concerns me if I'm a Patriot fan about the top of this draft, is that everything gets all mixed up, and then a team that might trade up with you, like the Raiders, and they end up dealing for Matt Stafford or something like that. It just screws everything up.
Yeah, I think that's fair, guys. I would also keep in mind, when the Rams grant Matthew Stafford permission to talk with other teams, it's not so much like, hey, you want to come here? What do you think? This is what we'd like to do. It's to say, this is the contract we would give you. And that's the point that right now is the sticking point between Stafford and the Rams, who say, go find your value elsewhere, not in terms of picks, not in terms of draft capital, not in terms of trade, but in terms of contract. Whatever you get, just like they do, and the Patriots have done this with other free agents, come for agency, go find the best contract you can get and we'll match it. That's what I think is going on here with Stafford. It's just so strange to me for such a smart front office, a cutting-edge front office, to tell their quarterback when they were on the cusp of an NFC Championship game appearance against the future Super Bowl champions, hey, go out there. We're going to deal you and make it so public. I think it's much more about the contract than the actual trade, which I'm not ruling out, but I just want to kind of keep that in mind here because that's the first domino to fall if it does.
Yeah, and that is true. But they don't want to pay him. And that's the thing is that they're going out and they're saying, go look and find what you can get. But I heard a guy on Mad Dog say, and again, Andrew, you would know more than me. I'm just reporting what I hear other reporters say, is that, that's the idea, but they don't want to pay him. Like they believe that they're in kind of like a transitional phase with Kupp and they got, and they have some young talent on the team. They believe that, because Rodgers will play, Rodgers will cut his contract. Rodgers will play for a lot less money than Stafford. Stafford's been vastly underpaid, and he wants like $45-50 million a year.
And the more teams you get involved, the higher the price goes up, and the more the likelihood he does move on from the Rams.
Yeah, that's kind of my point, John. Is that the Rams aren't saying it's kind of cutthroat, right? But they're not saying, yeah, for sure you're gone, but if a team offers Stafford
2 years, $100 million,
what he's worth,
yeah,
I don't think that the Rams are going to match that. That's just what the talk is now, and which is concerning if you're a Patriots fan. But I digress. Let's talk about the top of the free agents with wide receivers. What are you hearing about T. Higgins and Godwin and the opportunity that they could be franchised? If they are franchised, could that just mean that there's a trade? What are you hearing?
Yeah, some folks I talked to yesterday expect T. Higgins to go back to Cincinnati, Chris Godwin to remain in Tampa Bay. And this is as much, because of what's been projected publicly, which both teams are going to do. We have confidence. We're close. Kind of put the onus on the player through the media that if the deal doesn't get done, hey, it's not our fault. But Tampa Bay historically has done a really good job of retaining its core players. And guys love playing with Baker Mayfield. Are they right? We'll see. But I would tend to agree. The way that Godwin, as we know, extended his extension window, gives you pause and say, hey, why would he do that if they weren't close or at least within the ballpark? So to me, I think the Patriots, and we heard this from Mike Vrabel yesterday, and I wrote this up, when they talk about exploring all three avenues, trade, free agency, and the draft or number one receivers, they're going to have to do it because like a lot of years, and this is following the quarterbacks and the left tackle, receivers just don't get to the free agent market. And I told and asked Eliot Wolf this a year ago, I said, hey, what's your plan? This just doesn't happen anymore. It's like, oh, we'll see. Well, we're seeing right now. And it looks like you're going to have to pick from some over-the-hill stars or some number twos. And Mike Vrabel said when it came specifically to number one receivers yesterday, usually you have to draft them. And at least in Tennessee, they had a second-round pick. His name was A.J. Brown, and he hit before they traded him. I think they look at that probably right now as their most likely path to getting eventually a number one receiver.
Mike Vrabel met the media yesterday, said a lot of the right things that you would hope he would say. Your quick impressions of his press conference yesterday.
Yeah, I think he was in command, which is what everyone else said. I think there was also a good balance of urgency with saying, hey, look, we're here to win. We're here to do this now. We got to get going. We got a lot of praise and spending. If we swing and miss, well, we get 2 more strikes. So you better have a plan for strike 2 and hopefully not strike 3 when they're looking at their options in free agency. And so I like that. I wrote today that I think everything he said, stuff I've heard, things we've seen over the last, 5-6 weeks, he's pulling the Patriots back towards a Belichick model. So while they want to be aggressive in free agency and they're going to be prepared and all that sounds good, this team is, again, changing in a very foundational way. Like everything goes through him. And the way they set up the power structure where he's basically saying without saying, hey, personnel control is mine, is a big shift. And that's just how they prefer to roll in New England, with the head coach kind of having the juice and everything built around him. And everything Mike Vrabel said yesterday reinforced that idea that the power structure is back to what we all knew for 24 years with Bill Belichick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, good. No, go ahead, John.
We got time for one more.
Okay, I was just going to say, Eliot Wolf meets the media today. What do you hope to hear from him? Because we've been talking about the dynamic between he and Vrabel.
Yeah, honestly, guys, I don't have high expectations for Eliot because every time he's spoken, he's put at least like a toe in his mouth. And it's something that I think, yeah.
When's he speaking?
Not a full foot. 1 p.m., yes. Get excited. Yeah, take a nap.
Tease.
And, yes. So we'll see. I mean, if he wants to firmly answer the personnel question and be like, yes, everything runs through Mike, that'd be great. I think we know without it, but his perspective, on the receiver class, on arm length for offensive tackles as we get to know Will Campbell at LSU, a possible pick in number 4 would be great. So those things are the top of my list, but I'm not holding my breath for any big revelations given his history and given the fact he's probably looking to do better in the last 3 or 4 times we've ever spoken with him.
All right, go throw up and get some sleep and have a good time tonight. We appreciate it, Andrew. Andrew Callahan from the Herald, you're the man. Thanks so much, dude.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.